welcome to week 2 of my Real Men segment. I have 3 real men for you guys to start this week that should get you some fantasy points. We're going to get you more fantasy points with this segment than we did last week, but hey, Megatron balled out for you, so I did call that one right on the dot. So yes, we're in week 2 of the NFL. My first pick is going to be Arizona's defense. Now, they're a 2-balls pick. They might be out there on a lot of waiver wires. Some people just pick up a different defense every week and don't keep a defense. But I definitely like how they've started out the season so far. They did not give up a touchdown until the 3rd quarter of last game's night against an offense that last year was doing pretty well and a team last year that made the playoffs. So that was definitely great. They gave up less than 300 yards of offense, and right now they're ranking 2nd against the run. They play the Giants this week in New York, but let's face it, the Giants look like a disaster again this year. They don't have their ish together. Eli had 2 interceptions against the Lions, and he threw for less than 200 yards. So if they're going to try to lean on the run, that's going to be hard because Arizona was shutting down the run. And if Eli is going to start throwing the ball a lot, that's probably going to be a problem because Arizona's defense is going to get you those interceptions. It's going to be a problem for the Giants, that is. And safety Tyrann Mathieu could return. That is a little bit up in the air. He didn't play this week, but he might come back for week 2. Now, what you do need to watch with Arizona's defense as the week continues is linebacker Abraham. He possibly has a concussion, so you're going to have to watch that because he is one of their strongest linebackers they have. But I wouldn't be too worried. They're going up against an offense that just looks like a mess and does not look like they're in sync quite yet. So my second real man pick is wide receiver Jeremy Maclin, and he's a 2-balls pick as well. I don't think he's a guy that's going to ball out necessarily every week, but when he has good matchups, you got to get him in your lineup, and this is one of those weeks. He had only 4 catches, but he did have 97 yards and a touchdown on those 4 catches. But what I really looked at is he was targeted 10 times. So Nick Foles is looking his way, and hey, the more targets you get, the more chances you get at catching those balls. The Colts gave up 3 passing touchdowns against the Broncos, and the Broncos got off to such a fast start that they didn't have to pass the ball quite as much. They were able to start just kind of running the ball. So the Colts really were struggling against the pass and giving up touchdowns. And Cooper is not as talented. We know he doesn't have quite the speed and talent that Jeremy Maclin has. So besides Maclin, Cooper's the second receiver out there, and then Jordan Matthews is also there. Jordan Matthews is a rookie, so they might be trying to get him going, but Maclin's going to be the first one that Foles looks to. And I am going to disagree a tad bit with Greg. I think this actually might be a close game. It's the Colts' first game at home. They lost to the Broncos, so they desperately need a win. And neither defense is balling out of control yet. It is only week 2, so we can't judge too much. I think it could end up being a game that there's going to be a little bit of, it's going to be close. So I think that each team is going to have to throw the ball, and it might come down to the passing game. And my third pick for this week, this is a ballsy one. I'm going to try to give you ballsy ones this year, is running back Carlos Hyde. This is a 4-balls pick on the scale. This is not a guy you're going to start every week. But if you have an injured running back or you need someone for your flex position, you could pick him up, and he could end up getting it done for you this week. Fingers crossed. He did vulture a touchdown from Frank Gore in the game against Dallas. I know Greg was upset about that. But so he's going to be the guy that possibly they're going to give it to on the goal line. Again, I'm picking a player against my Bears defense. I feel a little bad about it, but hey, the Bears gave up 193 rushing yards like we talked about earlier, and that's the 8th most fantasy points to running backs that they gave up in week 1. A bunch of those runs came on long runs, but, you know, the San Francisco 49ers are going to run the ball. It's their first game in their new stadium. It's Sunday Night Football. They're going to want to put on a show. And like I mentioned before, the Bears linebackers are not playing that well. So if our D-line doesn't stop Gore and Carlos Hyde, we are going to have some problems and they're going to be getting those big runs. So Hyde is the young guy there in San Fran. You know, San Fran likes to lean on that running game. And he's just a guy, again, that I think might get you some points. You might be surprised in your flex position. So those are my 3 real men picks for this week. Now, don't forget to check us out on our social media. Facebook is facebook.com/BigBallsFantasyFootball. And we want you to ask us some questions on there. Also ask us questions on our Twitter @BigBallsFBall so that we can be answering stuff weekly for you guys. We'll answer it on here. We'll answer it on our Saturday podcast. Our podcast is blogtalkradio.com/GRR. We do that every Saturday. And of course, you can just find everything we have for you at BigBallsFantasyFootball.com. So now we had a little bit of fun this week. We normally do our season opener at Tin Horn Flats, our Bears Bar in Burbank. But it got crazy. It was super packed. We had some issues with our seating, so it was just very hard to get out there and film like we wanted to and like we normally do. But we did get to film at Outpost with Lexi. She's one of our sexy super fans that's on our show quite a bit. Huge Broncos fan. And so we were there at Outpost talking to some fans and having some fun, and we want to share that footage with you guys.